Self-confessed chief gammon June Slater is tonight's outsider. Now, 8 years ago, British teenager Shamima Begum fled the UK to join terrorist death cult ISIS, but now the BBC is putting her on a pedestal with a 10-part podcast series that tells her, quote, diverse story. The first episode of I'm Not a Monster, released today, hears Begum finally admit she joined a terrorist organisation, with the Beeb making light of the debacle with revelation she stuck English chocolate into war-torn Syria. But more worryingly, listen to Begum's bizarre blame of the British press, who does she sound like, for apparently misrepresenting her in the media.
I'm curious about how you think people perceive you.
As a danger, as a risk, as a potential risk to them, to their safety, to their way of living. I'm not a bad person. I'm not this person that they think I am being perceived as in the media. You know, I'm just so much more than ISIS, and I'm so much more than everything that I've been through.
But do you understand why society has so much anger towards you?
Yes, I do understand. But I don't think it's actually towards me. I think it's towards ISIS.
Sorry, there's nothing ambiguous about joining a terrorist organisation that burned people in cages, threw gay people off buildings and slit charity workers' throats. Begum is still living in a Syrian refugee camp after having her British citizenship revoked, but she continues to try and worm her way back into the UK through the courts. And our wet as a whistle BBC could very well give her the boost she wants. So, June Slater, why is the British bashing corporation, as I call them, giving time to a dangerous terrorist sympathiser? Or actually, June, in many people's view, just a terrorist full stop.
It's the BBC and they're out of touch with what their audience needs and wants to see. We've got so many problems at the moment that come before this. And the 10-part series airs on Radio 5. I think I'd rather watch Rainbow and listen to what Zippy's got to say. You know, we've got jails full of people that are remorseful for what they did. And this girl, who's turned into a woman, is apparently remorseful. But what she's accused of and what she's done, it's basically, for many people, I've gone on Twitter today, I've looked on Radio 5 thread, I've been on my Facebook pages, I've got 1,000 messages from people disgusted with the BBC and saying that there's no way she should come back, so they're not interested in her story. The thing is, to do this is expensive stuff. They've got Josh Baker, who's a critically acclaimed filmmaker for this kind of thing. He's got excellent credentials. There's no taking away the calibre of people they've employed to do this. But that's not the point. The point is the BBC pays for this out of our taxes. The licence fee is a tax. And
June, the show is called I'm Not a Monster. So we know where they're coming from here. They want this woman back in the country because that's what lefties want.
Well, they're not getting much support on the social media. But unfortunately, the BBC is alone to itself. I mean, you've got Gary Lineker with his excessive wages. You've got pensioners now paying for the licence fee because it's quite easy to demand money off people when you don't actually have to earn it. GBNews has to get advertising support. Independent stations have to get advertising in to keep the revenue flowing to pay the bills. The BBC can just they can put the licence fee up if they want. They can do what they want. And no one's railing them in. Nobody in politics is saying, hang on a minute, this is out of order. You know, the quality of the filmmaking will be very good, which is another annoying thing. And the trouble is with someone like this girl, she's been there, she's been amongst these people. Do you think these people are ever going to really let go of her? What if she is allowed back and then these other terrorists that she's made contact with threaten her or her family in some way to get her to act again? You're never away from it. It's like working for the mafia. It doesn't matter how much you want to leave. Do you ever leave?
No, indeed. And that's why she can't come back. She can't come back because actually there also has to be a deterrent for other young folk who might be thinking, oh, we can go off and join a terrorist organisation, then return to soft-touch Britain. But she also can't come back for that reason, June, our safety. And June Slater, so great to speak. We'll be with you next week, of course, too.